When we are trying to heal chronic mind-body pain or symptoms, we tend to sometimes lose patience with the process of healing, or also lose patience with ourselves and maybe our inability to heal as fast as we expected to. In this video, I'm going to be explaining 3 key elements which you can adopt and integrate in order to recover faster, and that are often overlooked when one embarks on the healing journey. So let's get started. So the number one problem these days, in my opinion, is that someone who has just embarked on the mind-body journey to treat chronic pain or symptoms is often flooded with information, sometimes conflicting information, sometimes great information that still, if taken or consumed all together, can create so much overwhelm and confusion. The internet, and especially social media groups and social media pages focused on mind-body healing, can be really great at teaching you the basics. They can be really great at inspiring you and at giving you certain important insights. However, if we tend to binge on these things, if we tend to binge on YouTube videos, if we tend to binge on social media posts relating to healing, this in itself can become a new obsession, a new distraction from our underlying problems. It can prevent us from taking the time to self-reflect, from taking the time to be with ourselves, with our bodies, and to assume the journey as a process, to trust in the process. In other words, we tend to get impatient because we feel that there's so much information out there, so many people are telling us what to do, so many other people are telling us how they recovered, and we start to feel impatient because we feel that we should have got it by now. Now, the truth is, in order to heal from mind-body symptoms, you typically need to take yourself through a process. And new information, learning about the syndrome, learning about TMS, is only a part of that process. There is another part which involves a lot of self-reflection, a lot of time actually doing the work, a lot of exploration, self-exploration, starting to also be mindful and aware of how you are reacting to the symptoms, starting to change daily habits. And I explain some of these habits and techniques in other videos, but in this video I just wanted to focus on the recovery process itself, on how one should be approaching the recovery process, right? It's not about consuming all this information every day, watching video after video without actually taking the time to reflect on the insight gained from that video or from that blog, right? In this case, less is more. It's basically much better to just watch a video every couple of days, but in between taking the time to reflect on how it applies to your situation, how it does not apply to your situation, tuning into your own feelings, to your own gut instinct, to your own judgment about the situation, rather than allow yourself to be clouded by other people's judgments. So this is an essential part of the process that a lot of people skimp on just because they think that they have learned enough or tried enough techniques. But it's not exactly about trying. Healing is about going through a process. It has its ups and downs, but most of all, it involves getting to know yourself better. And the next step is befriending yourself, having patience with yourself. So, as I might have mentioned before, there are 2 elements wherein you have to cultivate patience. You have to cultivate patience with your body and with the symptoms, and you have to cultivate patience and also forgiveness towards yourself, right? Towards the fact that you are where you are right now. Which leads me to the second element that I wanted to discuss in this video, and that's the element of acceptance, of accepting where you are right now and having self-compassion also towards yourself, rather than hating yourself for being where you are or expecting yourself to have gotten further with your recovery, if you're not where you wanted to be, and I know that a lot of people will be reflecting at this time of year about maybe the goals they had for this year, and some of you might be feeling disappointed at the fact that maybe you're not where you thought you ought to be. Well, this is actually the time to take a step back and accept where you are right now. Acceptance is part of the healing journey. If you are trying to fight the situation that you're in, if you're trying to control your symptoms constantly, if it feels like a battle, then you're doing it wrong, essentially, because chronic pain healing is not a battle. It is a process, and it starts with accepting where you are right now, accepting yourself, accepting your negative emotions. All right, so even if you are anxious, it doesn't help being critical of yourself for being anxious. It doesn't help being frustrated at yourself for being anxious. The first step is always accepting that you are anxious right now and having that self-compassion for yourself, understanding that this is a consequence of maybe what you've gone through, of multiple factors, and that it's not exactly your fault. All right, and that the only thing that you can do is to take agency of the situation today by first accepting where you are and then taking the time to be patient with the process of healing. And I have to admit that self-compassion is an aspect that I discovered way later in my own journey, even after I healed from my original symptoms. I started to have other symptoms like anxiety. I didn't like the direction in which my thoughts were going. I didn't like that I was so hyper-vigilant about certain things, so catastrophic. And I realized that the first step I needed to do, rather than fight the anxiety or trying to change it or trying to mask it or bypass it through things like exercise or even meditation, I first needed to accept it, right? So this is something that I wanted to make you aware of, because so many people resort to tools and practices in order to try and bypass their emotions, in order to try and stifle their anxiety or reduce their pain or fight their pain. And they don't realize that by doing so, they're actually still fighting the pain, still fighting the anxiety. It starts with actually sitting with it and accepting that you have it right now, letting it unfold a little bit in the body, feeling where it's at in the body. This is where meditation comes in. Meditation is always about accepting where you are right now, noticing the sensations and the feelings that you have right now without trying to change them immediately. Because trying to change them is a form of control. It's a form of fighting. So it tends to actually dysregulate you further by creating more stress hormones in the body. The other element I wanted to discuss is forgiveness. Forgiveness towards yourself for being where you are today, not resorting to blaming yourself for taking certain decisions in the past that have led to unhappy events or dissatisfaction. And this can be a really, really hard one, because maybe we've all made mistakes. Maybe we're conscious of how we even made our symptoms worse through our mindset, through our thoughts, how we've been led astray by buying into certain things, by not committing or whatever. So there can be many things for which we blame ourselves. At a deeper level, a part of us may blame ourselves for not being where we ought to be because we know that we can do better. And while it's true that we can do better, it starts by forgiving yourself first for any mistakes or any delays you've caused yourself, anything really, because that allows you to take on a fresh start and to proceed with your recovery with more self-compassion. And I keep mentioning self-compassion here because it's something that can really, really send a very powerful signal to your brain, a signal that finally you are on your own side, that things are safer now. And as you probably know, if you've been following the mind-body connection and teachings on TMS for a while, you probably know that the brain needs to feel safe in order to be able to release the pain response. In order for you to feel more regulated and balanced in the body, you need to feel safe. And one of the best messages of safety that you can send to yourself, it's not simply just saying an affirmation, telling yourself, oh, I'm safe. It's actually having self-compassion towards yourself through your actions and through the thoughts that you have about yourself, in order for the brain to feel that you are finally on your own side. That is the best message of safety that you can send to yourself, rather than expecting others to validate you and your emotions, rather than expecting external situations to stabilize or to be nicer and safer. The power lies within. You need to feel safe. You need to send yourself the best message of safety through forgiveness, acceptance, and self-compassion. So now that the year is coming to an end, and maybe a lot of people will be reflecting on how things have been in the past year and how they would like things to be in the next year, I'd just like to invite you to take some time to reflect. How have you approached your journey so far? Have you approached it from a sense of trying to fix and control your symptoms? Have you been able to take yourself through a process without feeling pressured or rushed? There is still time to start over, to start the healing process from a new attitude, from a new approach, integrating the elements that I've just explained in this video. So don't just hop on to the next video or to the next article after watching this one. Really take a couple of days to reflect on where you are right now and to accept where you are right now. And then you can restart your journey with a fresh outlook. That's all from me for today, and I wish you all the best for the festive season and the coming year. See you next year.